You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to be previewing the Chicago Bulls versus the Washington Wizards, Zach Lavine's recent improvements, and what would you do to fix the Chicago Bulls offense? We're going to get into all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls. Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. That's prizepicks.com/promo code LOCKEDON. All right, Pat. That's Pat the designer, a.k.a. Yellow Fever, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze.
That one's dark, bro. It's dark. That's the one you want to go with?
Yeah, it's dark, unlike you. So, yeah, this is what I want to go with.
How you the one that actually grew up in Italy, but you came out darker than I did? That is kind of
I got sun, bro. You had to spend winters in Chicago for a long time, bro.
That is true. I'm not gonna lie, but I was born in July, so it was I don't know. My mama didn't take me outside. That's how we started the show, by the way. You see how happy we are on days the Bulls don't play? Excited we are.
It's easy to be happy when you're not disappointed by your team running a terrible offense. But I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, that's funny, man. That's tough. That's tough. The Bulls face the Washington Wizards today, brother. I'm tired of presenting this question. So often I present it, can the Bulls turn it around? Like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, is this team going to look competent? Like, what are we doing here, bro?
Oh, no. You can't just look competent versus the Washington Wizards. Right? Competent versus Golden State. I felt okay after the Golden State game. I thought we could have done some things to win it, but I felt okay. Competent, right?
Yeah.
NBA champions. Wizards, you got to beat. Not to say the Wizards are having a bad season. Wizards are 11-13, right? A little bit ahead of us. Playing better than I think most people thought they would. I told a lot of people, right, this Wizards team's going to be a little bit better, but might lose some games here coming up, as seeing as how they are without quite a few pieces in this game. A couple of pieces that absolutely cooked us when we played. No DeLon Wright, no Bradley Beal. Actually, Bradley Beal didn't cook us. He cooked us in the fourth, but he didn't really cook us. Hachimura also going to be out. And then game time decision with COVID-19. Yes, it is still a thing. Devon Dotson, a game time decision. Shout out to Devon Dotson, Illinois native. Yeah, I'm saying former Chicago Bull trying to get a little love.
He's
here.
The exact type of player we'd allow to go off in a game like this, bro. Like literally, it'll be Devon Dotson. It's
all stacked against us, bro.
He just went 10 or 13 from the 3-point range in this game. You know,
bro, it's all stacked against us. Former Chicago Bull, not a dude that puts up more than 5 points a game, so he's got to drop 30 against us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it cooks Io because Io took his plays. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But no, I look at this game and I say that this is a game the Bulls should go out there and get if the lip service is finally not just lip service, right? You talked about that yesterday on the podcast, and I thought it was so apropos to what this team has been, right? Like, if we listen to this team, we're heading for championship 7, 8, 9, and 10. Based on the things that they say. Are we finally going to put those things into action tonight? The one thing that I will say, and we'll talk about this later, is that you're coming into this game, right, with Zach Lavine playing the best basketball we've seen him play to this point. You've got DeMar DeRozan still, I assume DeMar DeRozan still knows how to shoot the mid-range jump shot. And I think, right, the progression that we're seeing on when these guys are taking shots, at least in the second half of that Golden State game. Offensively, it made me feel a little bit better about this team. Not to say I'm all the way back in, but I feel good enough that, right, I feel like we can beat the Washington Wizards. Mm-hmm. Now, will we beat the Washington Wizards? That's the interesting question, right? Like, we can beat most of the teams that we played this season, but will we beat them? That's the question.
And this is what is so frustrating about the Chicago Bulls team, right? Because on paper, you just talked about the players that this Wizards team is missing. that should mean that the Bulls should be able to come in and take care of business. But that's not how things have tracked so far. This is set up to be the game where Kyle Kuzma once again cooks us. This is set to be the game where Corey Kispert all of a sudden has his career high against the Chicago Bulls. It's just the type of season that we're having.
Corey Kispert went off on us last year.
See? It's Daniel Gafford's still on this team, so even though the last game that we played against the Wizards, he didn't play too well in. But again, it's so hard to predict anything with this team. It's made this job that we do here a very difficult job to do because, like, you just don't know what version of the Chicago Bulls are going to show up at any given time. Is this going to be the team that cares? Is this going to be the team that, after Zach Lavine being frustrated after the last game, does he come out and set a tone and we just see this team start developing some type of edge? All of these things are possible, but they're equally as possible to wet the bed, try to come back, mount a pretty solid comeback attempt in the third quarter, and fall short in the fourth quarter. This is a story that we've seen all season long.
Yeah. It's interesting as well because, right, this is a game that's actually set up. If Beal is in it, I don't think I would pick the Bulls to win. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't because you've got two guys on this team that are averaging above 20 points, getting the shots that they get with Bradley Beal on the team, right? Like, not like they're taking nearly as many shots as we've seen Porzingis or Kuzma take in the past, and they're still both averaging above 20 points a game and both above 6 rebounds. Kuzma's averaging 8.8, and Porzingis is averaging 8.8. Kuzma is averaging 7.7. These are the kind of games that the Bulls struggle with. Bigs down low that are going to be able to come out there and compete against Vooch. Now Vooch was cooking Porzingis, and I will give him credit on that. Maybe this is the game where Vooch figures out how to get back.
You know what I like that Vooch is doing? That unless you're an old school basketball fan, you won't notice. I know a lot of Bulls fans, they talk about Vooch and they use the word soft and things. If you pay attention, Vooch has been throwing a little elbow in people's stomach from time to time, bro. Exactly.
Vooch be mad.
It's so interesting to see because we all know Vooch isn't a player that's necessarily you're gonna go out. Like in today's episode of Locked On Bulls, I made the comparison to him. Yesterday's of him being Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. He has all the makings to be this beast, but he's just this sweet lumbering big guy. But every once in a while, you see Vooch do some things, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot Vooch. Vooch. I
don't think Vooch fights any American players, but like I feel like if the foreign players get into it with him, like he's there for all the smoke. Like if Porzingis and him go at it tomorrow, he's got all the smoke for him. But like Karl Anthony Towns pull up on him, he might not. Now, Karl Anthony Towns got a heck of a chokeout game, so you got to watch yourself around him.
I mean, he's a heck of a choke artist himself. But okay, with that being said,
they throw the oop, Haize, finish. I love it. That is the theme.
Vooch definitely be throwing a little tough elbows at people. But all that aside is this, bro. Like with the lineup changes that we've had, it seemed like in last game as well, Patrick Williams responded a little bit better to being benched. We may be missing Javonte Green in this game. Seems like he's still having some knee trouble. He's listed as questionable.
I got a game time decision on Caruso as well.
You know, it does. The fact that Caruso hasn't missed a game in he's played more games than not this season. You know, Caruso's down. He's eventually going to have I'm out 3 games just because he just fell down weird and he like twisted his ankle. It's gonna happen.
It literally is an ankle. That's literally what he's listed as.
That is hilarious, literally. I promise I had no idea that's what it was. That's
I don't
crazy.
Know. It wasn't the ankle last game.
No, it was his ankle last game.
Yeah, it was his ankle last game too. So maybe he'll play. Hopefully he'll play, right? Like, I mean, you went with this. I love how you were saying, right? Like they responded to it. P. Will did respond. I thought I don't think he shot the ball the greatest percentage, but I thought he came out, and when he wants to be aggressive, man, it just shows. It just shows, dog. Like when he's like, I need to get this rebound, and goes up and jumps over everybody on the team, 2 hands. It's like, bro, what the heck was that? When was that the last 6 rebound?
And that's what I love from Patrick Williams when he realizes and has it going is that the defense, right? When Patrick Williams just realized, oh wait, if I don't want you to get by me, you're not finna get by me. It's great to see. It's just we don't see it consistently.
It's so weird, bro. Because I swear, like when you were talking about I kept thinking about when I was doing a live call, and you were like, P. Will is not a great lateral defender. And I just kept thinking about like campaign trying to get past him and literally just rethinking his life every time he tried to go past P. Will.
Yeah.
Now Devin Booker got past him a lot, but it only works certain times.
Devin's gonna get past a lot of people.
The whole team.
But with all that said, hopefully the Chicago Bulls have a better showing against the Washington Wizards. And next up, we're going to talk about one of the key pieces that could be if the Bulls do have success against the Wizards. That's Zach Lavine, who's quietly starting to slowly improve his season, and we'll break that all down. But first, I got to talk to you guys about Prize Picks. How does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they score more or less than the Prize Picks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, WNBA. Listen, every single sport you can imagine. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's just that easy. Save and fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for instant deposit match up to $100.
Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard, behind the scenes with your local experts and insight that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Pat. So Zach Lavine, just to put a little context to it, right? We know he was averaging 20 points per game on 40% shooting through the first 16 games. Over the last 3 games, he's increased his output to 27.7 points on 50% overall shooting from the field in the last 3 games. What do you think about that steady improvement from Zach Lavine? Yes, those numbers are inflated a little bit due to the 41-point game, but still, with that being said, do you think that we are starting to see Zach Lavine work himself out of his slump? Is this a flash in the pan, or do you think this is going to be something that's going to start becoming consistent for Zach as we need better play from our max level player?
I mean, I think if we're being 100% honest, right, and it's the thing that I've said, Zach has to be more consistent 100%, but we've seen Zach Lavine turn in the corner the last 5-6 games, and we kind of just want to, as Bulls fans, want to hold on to this narrative that he's not the player we should have played. He hasn't been consistent for us. He's not doing what we asked him to do. Yeah, his numbers are inflated by the 41-point game for sure, right? But in the last 5, Zach Lavine's averaging 26, like you said, 26, 6 and 4 with a steal and a half a game. This is Zach. I don't know his middle name. Bartholomew Lavine. A steal and a half a game. He's playing his best basketball in the last 5 games. Now, granted, a shorter span than the rest of the season, that we've seen him play in a Chicago Bulls jersey.
Yeah.
He's playing as the player that we decided to pay. Now, he has to continue that, right? He has to keep that going. He has to keep building on that. But the thing is, right, we came into this season wanting the instant gratitude from Zach Lavine. He's still shooting it very poorly from the 3-point line, right? He's 30% from the 3-point line over that span. But the thing is, it's like Zach's had this epiphany, like, hey, my 3 ball's not falling right now. It can't be the only shot I take. I'm going to go to the bucket. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to finish at the cup. And I think that we're seeing that play out a lot more for Zach Lavine this season. We're seeing when the shot's not falling, he's looking to facilitate the ball. When the shot's not falling, he's looking to push the tempo, try and get a little bit more fast breaks. He doesn't handle the ball well enough to do that very often, so maybe slow down on that. But I think Zach Lavine, right, and like I said, in these last 5-6 games, he's playing the best basketball we've ever seen Zach Lavine play. He's being the player that we wanted him to be.
And I'm gonna throw even more out there. You talked a lot about the offense. I'm gonna talk about the defense of Zach Lavine, bro, because this is gonna be shocking to you. I think, right? I know that we and you both have said Zach Lavine's playing some of his best defense of this that we've seen from him consistently
in his career.
Yeah. So I brought up Zach Lavine's game by game defensive rating. right? And I want to say this: these recent numbers are a little bit even inflated, some or deflated, I should say, because the game against Phoenix, he had 134 defensive rating, which that was bad. But what do you think his defensive rating was against the Sacramento Kings?
It had to be great. That was the best defense I've ever seen him play. Give me a 104.
99. Matter of fact, in the last 5 games. Now again, that one of those games does include the Phoenix game, but in the last 5 games, Zach Lavine has an average defensive rating of 104.
Oh, okay. So I was kind of right.
That's elite. Now, I'm not saying that he's an elite defender at all. I'm not saying that, right? Because we know, but Zach Lavine is, and people overlook it. Like you said before, you said something very poignant, I think, before we started recording, which is why we need to create another channel just for our pre-recorded conversations, because we be killing it. But with that being said, you said that Bulls fans don't update their opinions very often on players, despite the information that's available.
Yeah, it takes about a month and a half.
But we're talking more than, and I know that Zach's shooting slump has overshined everything, rightfully so, because it has been so bad. Yeah. But we are seeing we both sat here on this program when we did our predictions and said the one thing that we wanted to see from Zach Lavine, because we just assumed the scoring was gonna be what we used to seeing from him. We wanted to see him take a step defensively.
Yes. Zach
Lavine, outside of the shooting slump, has taken that step. And I just think that people are just overlooking it because he has this what's the word that I'm looking for? This reputation of a bad defender. And I think that people aren't recognizing that Zach Lavine has taken a step defensively. I'm not saying he's taken a leap. I'm not saying he's this great all of a sudden defender. He still has times where he gets blown up off ball. It's still not as bad as Amar DeRozan. But at the end of the day, it's this.
Somebody dropped his middle name too. It's his middle name.
I didn't know his middle name was Darnell. And he said
Amar Arnell Rosen.
That's crazy. But what do you like? At what point do you think, or is it going to have to take for his shooting to improve for people to start recognizing that Zach Lavine has improved as a defender?
No, I think the thing is, right, like the construction of the Bulls hurts Zach Lavine as a whole. Because if Zach doesn't have the big scoring nights, if Zach isn't knocking down the 3 ball, right? Like you take Zach's 3 away, the Bulls are a horrible 3-point shooting team.
Yeah.
You had Zach's 3 in, the Bulls are a middle of the pack 3-point shooting team. Like it's that drastic of a difference, right? So the shooting slump to me is kind of going into that. But if you're not realizing that, I literally had a Bulls fan tell me this in the chat. I think I ended up blocking him because he said something outlandish about Zach too. But he said, I didn't pay Zach Lavine to do everything else. I paid Zach Lavine to score. You paid Zach Lavine to be the best player on the court every night.
This is what I'm going to say. And this is for the people who say it's every single player's job to stop the other team from scoring the point.
Yeah, I don't know if people know that anymore, bro. People don't know.
This whole concept of like I don't pay this. Like it's literally every player that's out there. Your job when the other team has the ball is to do something to keep them from scoring the ball.
I'm saying people got the nerve to be mad about Jabari Parker,
bro. So on the flip side of that, we talked about the improvement of Zach Lavine. How many times this season do you think, and how many games have the Bulls played? 22 games, right? We're at 22?
22 games? 23?
23? Out of the 23 games that we've played, how many times do you think DeMar DeRozan's defensive rating has been higher than 120?
Bro, this is going to be tough. I'm going to say like 15, bro.
12 games.
Hey, I'm telling you. He awful, bro. Like you're going into every game. You can't even hide him.
You can't.
You can't even hide him.
And that's the thing where people talk so much about DeMar DeRozan's offense. And don't get me wrong, it can be a beautiful thing at times. But if you're scoring 25 points but giving up 18, guess what that means?
You're Carlos Boozer. No, it's not. I thought that was. I thought that's what that. Shout out C Booze, by the way. I loved you when you were here. I was the only person.
Wait a second.
C Booze.
Has DeMar DeRozan become the Carlos Boozer of this team?
No, I think DeMar DeRozan is an assassin. That's what DeMar DeRozan is, right? DeMar DeRozan is an assassin. He's
an assassin that can't defend himself. He's a sniper.
He's a sniper.
He's a sniper because if you get in hand-to-hand combat, he's a goner. That's basically what that means.
I think the big thing with DeMar is, right, like Zach LaVine's scoring does affect DeMar because it's like we talked about. They didn't play a ton well together. Like the beginning of the season when Lonzo was there and stuff like that, they were dominating. There was so much space on the floor. Everybody was able to space out. We forget, right? We lost a 40% three-point shooter for a year. That
and a team that needs three-point shooting.
That makes a big difference. And so, right, like I'm not one of those people that's like Lonzo Ball is gonna fix all of this. He hasn't run, cut, or jumped. So I'm not even holding my breath that he's going to be back.
Like I said about James Wiseman in one of your live streams about a year ago. You can't even pass Lonzo Ball the ball right now. You can't depend on him to fix your team. Like,
hey, bro, here's the biggest thing for me with how the Bulls worded it. They said, or no, who was it? Was it Sam Smith? One of them was. They said we expect Lonzo Ball. What do you say? We're optimistic that Lonzo Ball will be back in 2023. And I was like, hey y'all, hold up. Nah, you're not gonna get me. The 2023 season also starts in 2023. You're not fooling me, bro. I don't expect to see Lonzo out here.
Oh man, are people gonna remember the season after Derrick Rose's ACL? Like literally every game, hey, Derrick Rose can come back. It was like after February, Derrick Rose can come back in a week. Now I remember it was playoffs. Derrick Rose, he's gonna make that return in the playoff series. He's gonna be what wins that's what it's gonna be for Lonzo Ball. Anyway, bro, go ahead, man. Like it's trauma.
Hey, man,
trauma.
Listen, I think Zach's doing a great job. I think the Bulls are going to move in the right direction with him scoring. I've asked this question a couple of times, and as we go into the next segment, I guess we kind of can talk about it because we're going to be breaking down what do we want to do to fix what do we want to see to fix this Chicago Bulls offense. But the question leading into that, and get your thoughts and pens ready, all that think piece. Is it as simple as knocking down shots? Is that what this Bulls team is missing? Is it as simple as knocking down shots? Because Zach LaVine, even in those 10 games, is still shooting 30% from three, and he's a top 10 3-point shooter in the NBA. Hey, you can bet on that just like you can go to betonline.net for your number one source for all sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football, basketball, soccer, esports. They have it all at betonline.net. You know what? They got the Bulls right now going up against the Washington Wizards without Bradley Beal. We're a 5.5-point underdog.
What is that? What it's come to? Is that what this has come to?
No Bradley Beal. We are a 5.5-point underdog.
Wow, the disrespect. Well, I mean, listen, I can't really say that.
Is it? Yeah. Is it? Hey, listen, if you love sports and you love listening to podcasts just like this, you can find those at BetOnline as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline. It's where the game starts.
Dun, dun, dun. Pat, how do we
Auto? You can't use it for everything.
How do we fix the Chicago Bulls offense, bro? I think I have the answer, bro. I got it. Are you ready?
If you say Tony Bradley, I'm gonna drive to Cleveland and punch you in the face.
Well, you wouldn't find me because I don't live in Cleveland.
I didn't want to drop your real city. You know what I mean?
If you start Andre Drummond, Nikola Vucevic, and Tony Bradley as your 3, 4, and
I knew it. You know they still comment that on a bunch of videos. Well, in the comments like Tony Bradley's our sharpshooter. They comment that on so many of my videos.
Oh man, that is hilarious, bro. That is funny. But no, all jokes aside, bro. You said this on the post game show after the Kings game, and it literally just ding ding ding. You drop some bars from time to time. Man. Shout out to you, brother. The Bulls are running a 2006 offense in 2022. Yeah.
I said 2005, actually. 2006 had a little bit more shooting. Tracy McGrady was cashing out.
That's facts.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you're trying to run a 2005 offense in 2022, and that generally doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. So how would you fix this Bulls offense?
I think, right, like it's kind of what I said, right? Like part of it is really just Zach Lavine knocking down his shots that we've seen him take and make and be one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. He was in the 3-point contest last season, right? Like there was so many things that we looked at from Zach Lavine and we were like, no, like that is the big key to your offense and it provides more spacing. But I think the thing is, right, like there's a couple of things for me, but the most important thing is to just keep moving. I don't understand what our offense is. I'm not even saying, right, like I'm not saying sling the ball around, right? Like I don't expect us to go from playing Golden State to all of a sudden we come into this Washington game with a Harlem Globetrotter. I'm not expecting us to be flinging the ball all around the court. But y'all have seen my impersonation of P. Will a million times. He just stands there. Io just stands there. Io's the only one that cuts, and it usually comes after 14 seconds like, hey, I guess I should start moving. Like the Bulls just don't move, and you got to get some motion off of that because the motion's going to find guys that are going to get open shots. And you know what that, to me, right, that comes down to, not to say that I think that there's huge egos on this team, but the mindset is these guys have to get your shots, and that shouldn't be the mindset. We watched the Golden State Warriors kill us with dudes just cutting because Draymond Green was going to find them every time they moved to the bucket. And you have a passing big that absolutely can do things like that if you wanted to utilize him in that way. So for me, right, like it's just consistent movement. And I mean, honestly, like I said, I think a big part of it is really just this offense is built around, as much as we want to say, right, like the offense is DeMar DeRozan because he broke the Wilt record and is able to score out a point. This offense is built around Zach Lavine's ability to shoot the three. Because for some reason, DeMar this season decided, hey, I'm going to be a 3-point shooter too, and he should stop that.
Yeah. This is the thing with this, is that you look at this offense, there's a lot of things that stop with this offense. With a lot, I talk a lot about DeMar DeRozan because the offense does stop sometimes with DeMar DeRozan, but I've also always said this, is that part of that's on DeMar, huh?
I said you got to live with it too.
Yeah, part of that's on DeMar. Part of that is on the players not moving out the ball. Like, what do you expect DeMar to do? If DeMar is isolating and you're just standing back watching DeMar, he can't really pass you the ball because guess what? You're standing around watching. So what is the defender doing? He's watching the same thing you're watching, and he can intercept that pass. So we for us to modernize this offense, it has to be simple. In practice, right? I know and you said this before too. Nobody's saying that Billy Donovan's telling him, hey, yeah, stand around, just watch tomorrow. But at the end of the day, you need to stop practice. You need to stop when y'all watching tape. You need to do whatever it is and make players move without the ball. Like, I don't know what you got to do. If you got to get the Monstars to get out there and turn invisible and start moving players' feet for them, I don't know what you got to do. But somebody got to figure it out.
Is that reference finally too old for people to not get it? It's kind of an old reference though when you think about it. Space Jam 1. I think at the same time too, right? Like I think they do practice it, dog. Like think about it. When the Bulls get a day of practice, the first 5 plays of the game, the ball is moving. After that, it dies. But I really do think they work on these things in practice. They try them out.
We've said that before too.
It works.
This team,
and
when they face adversity, they go back to their old mindset. So,
I don't know, bro. And to me, right, I think it's as simple as the one thing that I'll say about the Golden State game is that while we didn't win it, the Bulls understood the moment they were in. And I could argue that there were some questionable calls at the end of that game. Even though they were letting them play a little bit, they were letting them play. Not the Golden State game? No, not the Golden State game, the Sacramento game. They were letting them play. They were letting them be more physical. They were letting them kind of fight it out at the rim. But the Bulls understood the moment, and it's one thing that I like. And while I don't like that we lost to the Kings, I did expect it. And in the fourth quarter, when we got them in the bonus with like 7 minutes to go, DeMar went down low, tried to get the foul, didn't get it. Zach went down low, tried to get the foul call, didn't get it. Vooch went down low, got beat up, didn't get it, right? Like they weren't giving us those fouls all game, which, listen, my only gripe with any ref is just stay consistent with it. It was from the first quarter to the fourth quarter. They was calling the game that way. But I felt like for the first time the Bulls understood the moment, because how many times in the bonus do the Bulls offensively be like, they'll get in the bonus and they'll just be like, time to shoot threes. Be like, hey, you're not going to pick up fouls shooting threes, right? So I think that
oh my God, bro. You talk about something that frustrates me all the time. Like, bro, and the Bulls do a pretty good job of getting in bonus when they need to, right? When it makes sense towards the end in the halves, they get in bonus. And then all of a sudden, now you guys want to try to up your 3-point. No, take it to the oh my God, bro.
DeMar DeRozan's pulling a corner three with a leg kick on it. It's like, bro, nobody believes you when you fall down from out there, bro. No one believes you, bro.
Bro, that's crazy.
I will also say, and listen, we've gone a little hard on DeMar. DeMar, we're doing this out of love, bro. We want you to get your game back together so that we can start praising you the way that we were, so that we can just be like, hey, man, y'all got to live. Like last year, me and Haize couldn't say nothing about DeMar taking bad shots.
Because he was making them. They were going in.
It was just like he was making, and even when he was missing them, it was like, bro, he broke a wilt record. What you want me to tell that dude? What you want the coach to tell that dude? Stop taking those shots.
Yeah.
Y'all know who Wilt is? So break another Wilt record so that we can start hyping you up again. But
it's
no, it's that simple, bro. 100-year records, man. I look at this offense right now, and I still feel like it's an 05 offense, but I think that it's as simple as, and you know what? The one thing that I will say that Chuck Swirsky brought up when I had him on the show, and I think because they're not superstar.
Slight flex there. Shout out to you, by the way.
Shout out Chuck, man. It really wasn't. I love Chuck. Chuck's a great guy. We can get him over here. But the one thing that I love that he said, and I didn't think about it, is just like the Bulls have still kind of been plagued with injury. It's just not the players we care most about. Javonte Green has missed some time. Goran Dragic has missed time. Andre Drummond has missed time. Kobe White has missed time. Zach Lavine was on like the minutes restriction early on in the season. That's kind of gone by the wayside since we haven't had nearly as many back-to-backs, which, by the way, get ready for that. That's coming. Winter is coming, my boy. But no, like we've missed still like important pieces on this team. Like they may not be like Zach, DeMar, and Vooch, but those are still important pieces when you need to go out and beat teams, and they're pieces that you rely heavily on. So that's still something to take into account with where this Bulls team is at early on in the season as well. Let's hope we can start turning this around, man, because good Lord, I need to start talking about some wins.
It's just a different atmosphere when we get to talk about wins, bro. It seems like it felt like it's been so long, bro. So long. Three games, a while, 3 games in a row.
It's been a while.
We've lost like 10 out of our last 14.
We did beat Lowry, but like it felt bittersweet because he also like cooked us the entire game. So it was just like, okay, we beat him, but he also put up 38.
I mean, that makes the revenge even sweeter because it's like you did all that, you still lost.
Nah, you put up 15 when you play me. Don't be putting up 38 when you play me.
Yeah, no. All right, man. Go ahead and send us home, brother.
Hey, man, follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for showing love.
You can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO Haize, and thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. For your next listen, check on Locked On Sports Today, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For Pat, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We out this mug. Peace, y'all.